Hi everyone, I'm Ethne Gale and today I'm going to be talking about 8 things that I wish I knew when I started to submit short fiction. This list isn't going to focus much on how to submit or how to get published. I have plenty of other videos on that if you're interested. This list is going to be a bit more general and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. Number 1 is don't worry so much about the status of your submission. I think it's really easy as an author, and particularly as a new author, to get really fixated on a submission that you've already made. You know, are they going to say yes? When are they going to get back to you? All of that sort of thing. And that can become a big distraction from actually writing. So I would say to myself, once you've sent something out there, you can keep half an eye on it every so often, but don't let that stop you from writing a new piece, which needs to be your priority once you've sent the old piece out. Number 2 is you're not going to make the big bucks. At one point, I was thinking that short fiction would be a significant sort of income supplement for me, that would help me to pay the bills, that it would help me to live, and that was just completely unrealistic. For the vast majority of short fiction authors, the money that they make from their stories is important, but is an insignificant percentage in terms of their overall income. Number 3 is most people don't care about short stories. This wasn't really a surprise to me, but I think the extent of it was. And don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of people in my life who have been very supportive, but it's always a bit of a surprise when they are and they ask about my writing and they do seem interested, as opposed to the opposite, which is very much the default. The vast majority of people are much more interested in novels, and sometimes when I tell them that I write short stories, they say, "Oh, and do you have a novel out?" Which is understandable because that is very much what we're taught to focus on in our culture. And I think that for most people, they haven't been exposed to the kind of short stories that they might actually like. So for me, for instance, in high school, we were given a whole bunch of quite bland contemporary stories, which really didn't do a lot for me. I was neutral to actively disliking all of them. So that in itself certainly didn't give me a very warm feeling towards short stories, and they were very much treated more as writing exercises rather than something that you can actually do as a writing career. But it's worth noting that sometimes people's lack of interest in short stories can actually be a good thing. I know several years ago when I was starting to write short stories with content that perhaps wasn't quite PG, I was worried about how people in the future would respond to them. And I would tell myself back then, don't worry, those people are not going to read your stories. It's hard enough to get the people that you want to read them. And I think that's the experience of a lot of writers, and in particular, a lot of short fiction writers. Number 4 is to keep track of the stories that you read and love. So for the last couple of years, I've been making a list of stories that I've really enjoyed throughout the year, so that at the end I can make a top 10 list of recommendations, and I can give those stories that I really enjoyed a bit more airtime, share them with others, and it's also a great way to meet others in the writing community. So I wish that I'd started doing that a bit earlier and not just in the last couple of years. Number 5 is to keep track, or to keep better track, of the nice things that people say about your stories. This would have been really useful to me when I was putting together my short fiction collection, Next Curious Thing, because they would have all been together and collected in one place already, rather than me having to search around the internet and try and find them again. Number 6 is a bit more of a practical one, and it's about the Codex writers community. This is something that I probably would have been eligible to join within about the first 12 to 18 months of me writing short fiction seriously, but I only discovered it about 4 months ago, several years after I was probably eligible. And I feel like I might have missed out a bit there. It would have been great to have been a member of that group for so long. I think it's got some great discussions, it's got some great industry news that I would have missed out on by not being involved, and it's a great place to meet other writers in a similar kind of career place. So if you are eligible and you write speculative fiction, I would definitely recommend checking it out. There are some eligibility requirements, but they're not too stringent. If you've had anything professionally published, go and have a look. Number 7 is that longer short stories are not necessarily better. Some of your most successful pieces are going to be in the 2,000 to 2,300 word mark. When I was first starting to seriously write short fiction, I definitely had the idea that as a general rule, stories around 4,000 to 5,000 words were better or were going to fare better than shorter stories. And I haven't found that to be the case. So I would go and tell myself to worry less about word count, just write the stories that you want to write, and however long they need to be is the right length. And finally, number 8. As you continue to write and you continue to publish, your sales might actually take longer because you're taking more risks with your writing and you're consistently targeting markets that are more challenging. This can be a bit of a tough one to swallow because you think my writing's getting better, I've sold to some nice markets, why are my sales slowing down? And some of it might be perception and your sales aren't really slowing down, but some of it can also be due to the 2 factors that I've just mentioned, particularly due to the fact that as your writing gets better, perhaps it's becoming less conventional and thus harder to sell. So those are 8 things that I wish that I had known when I started to sell my short fiction. If there are other things that you wish that you had known, I would love to hear about them down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.